strikers. Because remember, Isak cost Liverpool over 130, 25 million, whatever. And there was an outcry about that. Oh, yeah, how can it cost that much? Now we're talking about midfielders now. What's changed?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think there was an outcry so much about the amount,
Okay.
except in the sense that maybe, although Isak was considered one of the best strikers last season in the Premier League, I've got to give him his due. But
Yeah.
I think any criticism of that money, I didn't really see any criticism of it. But if there was, it would be, maybe in more recent times, transfer prices have become a bit more sensible. And going back up to 125 million uh, seems to go against that. And indeed, so far, I mean, I want Isak to succeed. I think he's a very good player. He's
Yeah.
struggling a bit. I think he didn't do badly on Sunday the other day. And I hope he goes on well. For my part, I think I don't understand why Liverpool bought him after they bought Ekitike, because I
Mm.
think both are good players. I think Ekitike has probably got the edge, and one or the other of them, it seems to me, is going to start a game on the bench, and that's not going to be satisfying to players who cost a lot of money, who be in the first team of most teams around the world. So that's a problem. Again, I think maybe Slot or his board or whatever made a bit of an error in buying Isak after they'd already got a good replacement for the person who went. So perhaps not to do with Isak so much as against why did they need another player up there as well, having bought Verts, is it, the guy as well?
Yeah.
So that may be that. Now, midfield players, I suppose you get to a question which probably we don't often ask ourselves. What are the most important? Well, let's go right to the question. What is the most important position in a football team? And it depends how you define important, but ultimately the creation or scoring of goals. What is the most important player? Now, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but I'm asking you that, and I've got to think about it myself. What do you think is most important? A striker, a midfielder, a goalkeeper, a central defender, a wing back? Who do you think is the most important?
It depends on the important in what sense. I would go for the goalkeeper, because you cannot not have a goalkeeper. So that is the most important, in my opinion. But if you're thinking about the other aspect of it, which is bringing home trophies, then I would say the striker.
Okay. I mean, you say the goalkeeper, you say you can't not have a goalkeeper, of course, but I mean, witness the game last night. Which one was it? Fulham against Manchester City. Now, I think both have got very good goalkeepers, but let's say a team didn't have a very good goalkeeper. If we don't say that's the most important position, it is important, but not the most important, because you could do what Manchester City did. Their goalkeeper could let in 4 goals, but because they got a good striker, Haaland, they got five. It was 5-4. I mean, how often does that score come up? I
Right.
mean, I don't know what the odds on the betting odds on that score last night would have been. Probably 1,000 to 1 or whatever. But I take your point. You have to have a goalkeeper, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the most important position. It depends what your judgment is on whether the
Right.
most important thing is to score goals or to stop goals being scored. And maybe that comes back to what we talked about before. You do sometimes get a manager whose priority is not to concede, not to lose, whereas I think most managers now. I think most managers now go out there with their team. We want to win. We don't want to concede, but the main thing is to win, to score goals. So
Mm.
again, it depends what your attitude is. If you say the goalkeeper, I would have thought you mean at all costs don't lose. I think for me, I would say at all costs, I want to win this game. I mean, you have to respect the point. If you get a draw, of course, that's what they say, respect the point.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I still haven't told you yet what my most important position would be. But you
Right,
said
right.
initially the goalkeeper. So what about after that then? Between midfield, and you get creative midfielders, you get defensive midfielders, you get holding midfielders, all sorts of midfielders, or you get players a bit like um, Declan Rice, who
Yeah.
was 105 million, I think, to Arsenal, and he seems to me to be everything. I think
Mm.
he's one of the best midfielders we've ever had, quite honestly, because you find him doing great defence work. You see someone hits the ball out from a corner, and oh, it's old Rice again. And a couple of moments later, he's up just missing a goal or just scoring a goal. He's got a wonderful shot from a free kick. So you could say, I mean, I'm talking myself into it really. You could say someone like that, a midfielder, you could, let's say an attacking midfielder who's going to create chances for your forwards, could be the most important thing. But it perhaps goes on a par with someone like Haaland, or on a good day Mateta, or these goal scorers, Ekitike, Isak. You could say they are equally important. So it may not be one or the other, but if I had to choose, if I had to come off that fence, I would say the most important position on the pitch is an attacking midfielder, because they will score, but they will create great chances for the attacking forwards in the game.
All right. Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
So that's why, to
Yeah.
answer your question, that probably is why maybe there's a recognition of that. Players like Adam Wharton coming through as well, and these others where lots of money has been paid, because managers are increasingly seeing the importance when you see such a brilliant midfielder like Declan Rice and
Mm.
Wharton. You say, God, these are the guys we want to build our team. We talked about Bellingham building a team around him. He's a midfielder. And again,
Mm.
very much an example. How much would he go for if he wasn't being exchanged for somebody? And even then, there'd be a cash element as well. But what would he go for? To Liverpool or anywhere else, you're probably looking at 140, 150 million pounds for a midfielder. So I think it's a trend we're likely to see more of. Yeah.
Mm. Very true. Yeah. It just reminds me of an analogy that I made up in my head just as he was talking. So it's not one.